I am trying to figure out, much like you, what the story is for The Rock and Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, WrestleMania, really just all of it. There are so many possibilities here with how they could actually do this story. The Rock, Roman, Cody Rhodes, WrestleMania. Is it gonna be just 2 matches at WrestleMania? Is it Rock, Roman in Australia at Elimination Chamber? What about Cody and his freaking story? So let's go through the different scenarios because there's still some question marks. There's some likely cases, but there's so many different options here. So we know that The Rock returned on Monday Night Raw, gave it the surprise return. He ran down Jinder Mahal after like a 15-minute promo. Like, it was a little long, I will say this. If we're gonna get The Rock and Roman at Australia or at WrestleMania, these promos need to start to tighten up and get a little bit more like depth to them. Have a little bit more meat on the bone. I know it's The Rock coming back, the crowd there's just gonna pop because it's The Rock, but Jinder's part was so long, and then The Rock's part was long. And there's a lot of talk online too of how The Rock did spinebuster people's elbow and he was like winded after that. I am no wrestler by any means, but it's probably really like exacerbating for you if you don't do it regularly. So I'm not too concerned, number one, of The Rock's like how good in shape he is or not in shape for a match against Roman Reigns. A match between Roman Reigns and The Rock, it doesn't need to be a 5-star classic. And I don't think anybody would even really expect that. It's really just the story. And if we've looked at Roman Reigns over the last 3 years, it's been all about story with him. Like, it's just about the story, and his matches are in some cases secondary, right? Like his story with Sami Zayn, the Bloodline, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, the Tribal Warfare. The match itself is very much secondary to the story they are telling during the match, towards the end. And so when it comes to The Rock and Roman, I feel like it's going to be a lot like Hogan and Rock. Because as you go back in time and you watch that match, and everybody says this a lot, if you go and watch WrestleMania 18, put Rock Hogan on mute with no crowd, the match is whatever. It's not good. Like, it's not a good wrestling match. Wrestling brawl, Vince Russo. But it's not a good wrestling match. The crowd, the moment, the atmosphere, all of it, that's what made that so very special. And it's one of the most iconic moments in WWE history. Rock and Roman could be a lot of that. You get the promos leading up to their match. We'll talk about match possibilities here in a second. But you get the promos, you get the back and forth. It's all about that first time you are going to see The Rock and Roman Reigns face to face in a ring. Whether it's on Raw or SmackDown or whatever. That first moment is going to be like everything. They don't need to talk. If they're going to get just a promo together in the ring, it will probably be the highest rated segment like in WWE in the longest time. You will probably just get the two of them in the ring just staring at each other for a few minutes. Roman can hold up the belt, Rock can look at it, and they walk away. Like, it doesn't have to be overly complicated. Now, what is kind of complicated is the overall story that is going on and what's going to happen to Cody, the belt. Is it going to be for the title when it's Rock versus Roman? Is the match even going to really happen? Like, there's a lot in here. So if we break it down with all of you, DX style, break it down. If you break all of this down, there's a couple of different scenarios that are a lot of fun, and some are not likely to happen, some might. I still think at the end of it all, no matter what the lead up is, I still think at the very end of everything, you are going to get Cody Rhodes finishing his bloody story at WrestleMania 40 Night 2. I think it will still come down to a one-on-one match of Cody versus Roman. How that match will play out, we'll do future predictions on that, but it's got to be a little bit different than the last one, that's for sure. So, and The Rock could play a role in that. So if we rewind though, how do we get there? How does The Rock fit into this? Is he going to go fight Roman for the title? The word going around right now is that it's going to be Rock Roman at Elimination Chamber in Perth, Australia. Now comment below. Do you guys want that? Is that what you want to see? Or do you think it should be held for WrestleMania? I'm kind of of two minds of this. At first glance, I'm immediately like, no, it should not be at Elimination Chamber. That's ridiculous. Rock Roman is WrestleMania Night 2 main event. That is the main event of main events. But is it? Hogan and Rock wasn't the main event. It's a semi-main event. It didn't go on. I think Triple H went on last with Jericho. So it wasn't even the main event there. It's kind of interesting what direction they could go in with this. So do you have Rock and Roman in Perth, Australia? Because the word is that the Australian government wants to plunk down all the money they can to get this to happen, to have WWE, that they are going to have WWE, but also to get like The Rock there. The amount of advertising, marketing behind all of that, The Rock doing it, The Rock doing press in Australia and leading up to it, that's all money. And that's all money for Australia as well. So it's a win-win. Rock's also in the process of promoting the new version of the XFL that he has. So there's a lot of pieces at play here, and you're also building up to WrestleMania. So do you go with Rock Roman in Australia, one-on-one in that main event? Because the chamber matches would not main event. It would be Rock Roman. You'd give it like 25 minutes. That's including entrances, because you might have like a 10-minute match or 12-minute match. That's going to be that main event. If you do it in Australia, do you do it for the title? And I ask that because Rock and Roman, it's about being the head of the table. It's about, that is to me the title that Rock is fighting for. The Rock to me is not fighting for the Undisputed Championship, or have they gone back now and just like changed it to just WWE Championship? So many of the wrestlers just say WWE Championship. But Roman's belt doesn't necessarily have to be on the line. I think a lot of us assume it would be. I mean, it very well could be, and it would kind of make sense traditionally, but their story seems to be more about who is the rightful head of the table for their family. So it's not necessarily about the belt. It's beyond that. So do you have a non-title match at WrestleMania? Maybe one way they could do it, whether it's at WrestleMania or Australia in Elimination Chamber, if it's at Elimination Chamber, do you do it where The Rock leading up to it challenges Roman Reigns officially, and if they get that one-on-one, face-to-face, like one time only on like SmackDown, do you have it where The Rock says, or Roman says to The Rock actually, you will never beat me for this, and saying that you will never beat me, Rock, for this championship? And what if The Rock is saying, I don't want to beat you for the championship. The Rock's not here all the time. I can't be here all the time to defend this championship. I'm not coming for your title. I'm coming for our title of head of the table. It's not about the championship. It's about family. And in that moment, if you do it that way, you kind of fix everything. You kind of avoid a lot of problems. And I think fans would also just kind of accept it. I'm sure there's a large amount of people that would still be like, that's ridiculous. He's the champion. He should be fighting for the title. But if Rock is the one to set the table, but lay the groundwork and lay out the scenario and the story, that it ain't about that. It's like, Roman, you can keep your belt forever. You can beat Hogan's record, all the records, but you will not be the head of our family, the head of the table. And if you do that, that allows WWE to play with the booking if it's not for the belt. If you make it for the belt in Australia, then Roman has to win. And there is that whole scenario that they could play out. But if you just have it where it's non-title, but it's for the title of Tribal Chief, title for head of the table, you are then walking into a very interesting scenario where The Rock could get the win over Roman Reigns. But it would be a bigger moment, I think, if The Rock is just the one to pin Roman Reigns clean. You could make it interesting by having Jimmy out there and Solo out there and try to interfere. Maybe they end up costing The Rock the win. And you could do that. That just to me is a little bit too traditional bloodline at this point. It's almost like, wait for the ref bump. Here comes the bloodline. Interference, spear, Roman wins. But because it's not for the belt, The Rock can look like a superhero and fight off the bloodline, and he could beat Roman. Because what that does is that if you go then to WrestleMania, if The Rock gets the triumphant win in Australia, send the fans home happy, you can sit there and go, oh my God, The Rock beat him. The Rock beat Roman Reigns. That's a historical moment. But then you can go on to WrestleMania, and The Rock could be gone, and then you still end up with Cody winning the Royal Rumble, for example, or he wins a match at Chamber to get #1 contendership and somehow gets to SmackDown. But if you do that way and Cody is going to go on to the second night main event, Rock is gone. Roman is now in trouble. Roman Reigns' armor is broken. And the only thing now he has left is the belt. So you could see Roman getting more aggressive, Roman getting more desperate, and feeling like it's all crumbling. Maybe if The Rock wins at Australia at Elimination Chamber, maybe that creates the dissolving of the bloodline. Because if Rock wins, why would Jimmy and Solo stick around? They're with him because ultimately he is head of the table. If Rock wins, he's the guy. So if you do that with The Rock winning, you've allowed for Solo and Jimmy to leave. They can exit. They can go do a tag match. They can do something else. They can go fight Jimmy. They can do something different for WrestleMania. But that is allowing the story to breathe more, where you're going to end up with Roman feeling like everything is crumbling around him. The loss to The Rock could be the spark of everything coming to an end for Roman's heel run for head of the table. So he loses the title of head of the table. Then you could end up with the rest of the bloodline leaving him because you're not the boss anymore. The Rock is. He's only got the belt left. Then you insert Cody, have their match. Cody beats Roman. And by having that, and we can pretty much figure Roman Reigns is going to be very, very infrequent on WWE TV for 2024. He's probably not going to be around very much. I would predict 4 to 6 matches total for the year of Roman Reigns. But with a loss to The Rock, a loss to Cody, losing the title, losing everything except for his wise man, and even that could get interesting in the new year. Well, we are in the new year, but you know what I mean. The new season of WWE after WrestleMania. If you do it that way, he's got nothing left. Roman goes away, and he takes all that time off as part of reflection and realizes, well, I'm not the head of the table. I'm not even the champion anymore. Everything he did, it failed because he didn't treat people right and he was, all selfish, everything that he's done for 3-4 years. So you can have Roman return like SummerSlam and come back as a babyface. He doesn't really have to change. He just has to do certain things to show the fans that he's not the same guy. And then you will end up with Roman's big babyface run. So there are different ways they can go about this for Elimination Chamber. The other thing you could do is, if it's not Rock and Roman at Chamber, then it's WrestleMania. I don't know how you're going to do that. People have suggested that you do night 1 and night 2. You do night 1, Rock and Roman main event, and night 2 is Cody and Roman for the title. I don't think you do that, and a couple of reasons why. I think number 1, I think CM Punk and Seth Rollins is night 1 main event, because I think CM Punk's return is so huge. They want to market that, they want to push that, and you're going to give Seth Rollins that main event as well that I think he's deserved for so many years. So, and I could see CM Punk winning the Royal Rumble and just wanting to challenge Seth, and off they go. That kind of solves that, and again, Cody can win something at the Chamber to try to get to SmackDown to get to Roman. So, if you're wanting to do Rock and Roman at WrestleMania, I don't think you're doing it. I don't think you want to have Roman work 2 nights in a row. Because, number 1, that's a lot of Roman. 2, the matches aren't going to be that long if you do it that way. I think it interferes with Punk and the card, and you're taking up another match and a main event, 2 main event matches. And if you do it that way, I just don't think that's going to work out so well overall. Plus, if you have Rock and Roman night 1, if you're WWE, I don't think you want to have the risk of Roman Reigns maybe getting injured. If they can just get through WrestleMania, Roman is probably, all intents and purposes, going to take time off. So he can heal up, whatever. So he'll go all out at WrestleMania because he could just heal up and whatever. But if you have Rock and Roman night 1, there is the scary chance that Roman Reigns could get injured somehow. Broken leg, just an injury, a small injury, anything. You can't mess up night 2's main event. You just can't. And leading to that, you're not going to see Roman Reigns wrestle, and you're not going to see Cody Rhodes wrestle. You wouldn't see The Rock wrestle. So it'd be a lot of promos. So I don't think you can do that for risk of injury. Now, the other thing you could do for WrestleMania, and I thought of this, and I don't know if it would work or not. I don't know how nuts I would be on it. If you do the Elimination Chamber match of Rock and Roman, let's say Roman wins. The Rock doesn't need to disappear. And whether The Rock wins or loses at Chamber, for example, you could go to WrestleMania Night 2, Cody versus Roman for the belt, and you could have Rock as special guest referee. Now, is that ideal? No. They're going to want The Rock to wrestle, so I do think that that happens at Elimination Chamber. But you could have The Rock win or lose at Chamber, and then just be like, I'm not done. And he comes in, he's like, I'm going to call this thing down the middle. Because if he wins at Chamber, he could insert himself a special guest referee by saying, hey, I'm tribal chief, I'm head of the table now, you're all going to listen to me. And he could say, I'm banning all of the bloodline at ringside for the main event. I'm the special enforcer / special guest referee. And that way you have taken night 2 of WrestleMania's main event, and you have made it as big as you possibly can. And you've now got 2 shows with The Rock on it. And that's probably a lot for fans to enjoy. Plus, it changes up the main event of night 2 of Cody Roman. Cody Roman already happened. We saw it. We saw the ending, but we've seen the match. I don't think you want to give fans the exact same match all over again, minus shenanigans at the end. Something has to change in the format so fans don't feel like, well, this is the exact same thing we got last year. How is it going to be any different? So I think if you did have The Rock as a special guest referee, special enforcer, you can help elevate that match and make it more intriguing. Because then The Rock could be involved, the Bloodline try to get involved, Jimmy and Solo, and The Rock just gives them rock bottoms, clears them out of the way. Rock doesn't have to touch Roman or Cody, he can just do it clean. But if he distracts or if he pushes away the rest of the Bloodline to make everything even, then Cody can come away with the belt and saying, I beat Roman Reigns clean one-on-one in the ring, because that's what he has to do. It can't be shenanigans, it can't be interference, it can't be a wonk finish. If Roman's gonna drop the belt, he has to do it clean. Now there's one other thing that could happen here with all of this. The Rock has the match with Roman Reigns in Australia. Roman wins. Make it for the title. Like, go through regular booking. Rock Roman at the Chamber for the belt / for the spot as head of the table. Roman wins. Rock loses, and The Rock goes bye-bye. Then you get to WrestleMania. Maybe Cody just wins WrestleMania. Or excuse me, Cody wins the Royal Rumble and goes to WrestleMania again. You could do Rock special guest referee. Kind of the same scenario I outlined, where he's trying to make things even. But what if it comes down in WrestleMania 40, The Rock tries to, take out Jimmy and Solo. He's going to count the pin. But what if it's Roman Reigns spear Cody and The Rock reluctantly has to count to 3. And Rock has to basically acknowledge Roman Reigns as tribal chief. Roman goes on to pass Hulk Hogan's record. I don't know if WWE cares so much, though, about the record. Like, they do and they don't. Does it really matter today? He is, like, the longest champion in the modern era. That's the big title. If he keeps the belt, he's got to go all the way to, like, SummerSlam, and he could pass Hogan. Do they really want to go all the way to SummerSlam? And you really want Cody to lose 2 years in a row? Because if they do, I think fans are just kind of done and going to be like, Cody, like, that's enough. We don't want to hear about you finishing your story. It's either do it now or you're not doing it. Or it's not gonna be Roman that you're gonna take the belt off of. And if it's not Cody taking the belt, nobody else is right there. Like Randy Orton, maybe. LA Knight could have been, but they moved him down because you got CM Punk in there and you're gonna have Cody Rhodes in there. So there's a lot of possibilities of how WrestleMania 40 could go. But you guys need to comment below and tell me, what do you think's gonna happen? Straight clean one-on-one? Like in Australia? Leading to WrestleMania 40 and Cody wins? Or do you see different possibilities here? I'd love to know. If you guys enjoy videos like this, talking about it, all the different scenarios and predictions, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.